Good. So, hello, everyone. I'm Greg Hill. I know most of you, I think, from last year. The ones I don't, I hope to know shortly. I wanted to take a quick minute and start off with a Pledge of Allegiance. We'll do that at every meeting. If everybody, why don't, Bob, you want to lead us off here?
Sure. Well, I even have a flag here. We'll do it like this.
Well, I got one right over there.
Okay, here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
of the United States of America, and to the republic for
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and
liberty
justice for all.
and justice for all.
Nice that we did that all together.
Pretty
That's
ragged.
that's
Yeah,
one
that
of
was
the
pretty
hazards.
ragged.
Freaking me out, the echoing going on. I was like, I was losing my place.
If I was technologically advanced, I would just be able to post up a nice waving flag or something like that, but it didn't work. Anyway, I wanted to, aside from me, I wanted to be able to introduce the other officers, I guess. Bob Green is for me over in the upper right corner, will be vice chair. There's Bob's hand. And our clerk will be Vanessa Sheehan. Vanessa's probably new to everyone here. I've never met Vanessa in person. We've had quite a few phone calls. Vanessa is a freshman representative, so we'll have every chance in the world to play dastardly tricks on Vanessa here along the way. Vanessa, why don't, if you wouldn't mind, and I'm still a little curious too. I don't know, I've not heard who will be the ranking member on the Democrat side. Are you, Doug? Or?
I am.
Okay, I thought so. So we have to call you ex-chairman or chairman emeritus or something like that, Janet?
Yeah. What do you want me to say?
What would you like?
Okay.
We'll call you ranking member. How's that?
Yes, I'm Janet Wall. I'm the ranking member. I'm in my 18th term, and very happy to be with this committee. Good group of people, and we've got some interesting issues this year. Doug Lay is the deputy ranking Dem. Is Doug available?
Yep, right there. Yep.
Hi, Doug.
Hello. That's important, and most of this conversation is for the folks that are our new colleagues more than anything. Everyone else are old pals, and we've already heard this probably 15 times each. This is one of the most experienced groups, I think, that exists in the House. If you added up everybody's hours of service, which is a good and a bad thing. It's a double-edged sword for the freshman representatives. Part of that is good because you'll be able to learn from some real experienced representatives, obviously. The bad part is we may tend to talk in shorthand at some point, and we may tend to go a little faster than you may like. So I'm giving you open invitation at this point to stop us at any point and ask, where are we? What are we doing? It's actually one of the reasons that I asked Vanessa to be our clerk, because I figure Vanessa will be sitting next to me and can jab me with a sharp pen and say, stop, I don't know what you're saying, please slow down, or do some of those things. So this is going to be a learning curve for a lot of us because of the Zoom and the way that we're operating. But we have a slight advantage, the people that have been here before, because we know at least some of the process. If you can think about the poor freshmen, they've got to learn the process and incorporate all of this Zoom stuff at the same time. And as we just heard a few minutes ago, some of this is still yet to be ironed out. So we're all in the same boat. So feel free anytime there's a question to just stop us and find out what's going on. We used to have a rep named David Murakami. Some of us remember him. David was a rep from Nashua. I steal from him frequently a line that he used starting any meeting, and he used to say, "I'm really good with names and I'm really good with faces. I'm just not really good at putting the two of them together." So I'll do everything I can to make sure I know everyone. It's a little more difficult with Zoom than it is with individual meeting of people. I'm much more used to being able to talk to somebody in the hallways of the LOB and getting to know them that way. It's impossible on Zoom, I think. And I think that's one of the problems with it that we'll find that legislating isn't as easy as it used to be when you see somebody in the hall and just talk to them about it. I also I would be remiss if I didn't make sure everyone realized that we have we have the top committee researcher in the whole organization, maybe in the world. So we are blessed with having Pam Smarling here with us today. For everyone that has not met Pam, I encourage you to take a few minutes and do that. Pam, as our researcher, I should let Pam describe what she does rather than putting words into her mouth. Go ahead, Pam, if you have a minute.
Absolutely, that's what I'm here for. And you'll all realize that you've also got a chairman that's prone to hyperbole, but that's the way.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
So I am Pam Smarling. I serve as the researcher for the committee and a resource in general. As legislation is filed with the committee, I provide background research, legislative history, whatever the chairman would like that's possible to obtain. I try to give to you in advance of the hearing, if that's how the question comes, or if it's after the hearing. Sometimes a question is raised then, and I can answer it after the fact before you vote on the bill clearly. I do work, it's important for you to know that I work for 3 other, committees. The House Commerce Committee, Executive Departments and Administration, and Election Law. So they are very busy committees, and
They all like
I'm always
workloads.
able to be in all the places at once. But I am accessible to you by email is probably the best way, or certainly phone. And I've been around for a while. I've been around for over 30 years. So I do have some extensive background files. So I look forward to working with all of you and going forward.
As the one thing that I will mention here is access to Pam and access to Pam's work. I'm requiring all of that come through me. That's pretty standard operating procedure in here, that the chair needs to know what's going on, and Pam doesn't need whatever we have, 15 masters. That doesn't help Pam, and it doesn't help the process of the work. So anything comes through me, that would be great. We also have a committee assistant, and I have to confess, I've not met Carrie before. Some of you may. I am hearing great things, and so I don't think we'll have obviously any issues. Same rules. Carrie is assigned to us. Carrie also has other committees, which I don't know. Do you know, Pam, the other committees that she is?
I don't know, no.
Okay. But at some point we'll meet Carrie as well, and have her introduce herself to all of us, hopefully someday in person. Then we, so I guess from there where I want to head, most everyone here is anxious, I'm sure, to hear about two topics, committee hearings and executive sessions. Committee hearings are going to be set up in a hybrid model, I would call it. And I should point out too, everything I'm going to tell you from here on out is as I understand it now. There are some things that are still being ironed out, I believe. But we will be operating committee hearings on a hybrid model. Hopefully, some of us will be in the LOB. I plan to always be in the LOB for hearings. You can certainly zoom in to the hearings and we'll operate kind of as we are right now, I guess. There are plans for, and I think they were installed yesterday or today. Do you know, Pam, the air exchangers that?
I saw them on Friday being carried into the rooms, actually.
Oh, well, there you go. You're ahead of me. I thought they were coming in. Maybe they said they would be activated as of today.
Right. They were just in boxes, so it wasn't like they were installed, but they were.
So the theory is that will make us safe. I saw that, Doug.
Sorry, but
no
air circulation in the building? No.
So the option still exists for hearings where the public will be on Zoom. We will have some members in person. That's how that will stand. And that's why it's important for me to get used to, or Bob as our technological leader, to figure out how to promote people to being able to talk and to provide testimony. After all, that is our raison d'etre. That's our reason to be here, to hear from public and to pay attention. Everything else from the committee hearing portion, committee hearings will be as normal. We will do virtually everything we've always done. We will be attentive. We will not be, I'm certain none of us will be balancing our checkbooks or competing with Facebook or eating Cocoa Krispies while we're watching any of our people coming and testifying. I will also ask them for the same courtesy. I don't need, barking dogs and every other thing in the background while we're trying to pay attention to what they're doing. I also am a stickler on making sure that the information that they give us is pertinent and is not repetitive, if at all possible. I understand that some people may come in and not see what has been talked about earlier, so we may have to put up with some of it. But likewise, I don't think it's a good idea, as I talk about Cocoa Krispies, I don't think it's a good idea for us to have anything on our desks that appear like we are not paying attention to the panelists. So if we are, or the attendees actually. So, it would be great if we didn't have anything like Kung Pao chicken or something for lunch, or a mixing bowl or anything that we're doing, trying to multitask. We are here to see those attendees and listen to them educate us. Everything else works the same. If you can get my attention with a raised hand, I'll make sure you're on a list and you're called and you can ask the attendees any questions you want. Follow-ups are all the same. Everything comes through the chair, just like we've always done. I'm hopeful that I can make this work as easily and as seamlessly as it always has. If I can do half as good a job as our previous chairperson, then I'm be tickled pink. So that's great. There's a hand. Go. Whatever.
Hi.
Yeah.
Good. How are you? I'm Representative Beth Richards. I think this is our first time to kind of meet.
Yes.
In semi-person. But quick question to follow up on the hybrid model.
Uh-huh.
And and your comment about the Kung Pao chicken, do you?
Doesn't have to be Kung Pao chicken. I can, yeah, go ahead.
But do you, if we are hybrid in, do you want us face like this, potentially a background, or are we able to just be name only, or a stock photo?
So for my preference, it would be great if the attendees actually saw who they are. It's a little off-putting for me to just have a symbol, you know, an emblem. Right now, all I'm seeing of Janet is just a telephone symbol. I think we should try to make this as much as possible as a real hearing. I think we should be having people be able to talk to all of us, even though we look like the Brady Bunch up here. I think it's important to have actually a real symbol of a person.
Follow
Yeah.
up?
Yeah, sure.
Right now, I'm in my business, alone in my office. But there will be times, I imagine, my children are in a hybrid model as well with their school. And so when we all get on, if I'm in the home situation, depending on the date, I imagine and have experienced that it would be better for me at times to be able to turn off my video so that if they need to be doing something that demands more. So can I
We fine.
and
Perfectly
so-
fine. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so can I understand you as saying to the best of our ability to be present, and at times when we can't, either via phone or for streaming or other things, to be a name or a picture?
Right. As I anticipate it, we will all be muted with the exception of me, probably. And then, so if your children are interrupting you, they're not interrupting us. And so feel free. Obviously, there's no style points for any of this. So
They're teenagers, so they don't talk to me, but it'll be more on the video stream. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries at all. Pam?
Mr. Chairman, I neglected to make sure that you read the script at the opening of the meeting, which we
Yes.
need to do at the outset. Always.
Yes. Do
So
I have that script anywhere?
I emailed it to you. I can email it to you again.
Actually, what I was hoping to do would do that with Vanessa, as she did a roll call so that we knew where we are.
Right. The script ends with the roll call, the call for a roll call. So
Let me see if I can pull that up. Sorry, we're out of
I'm
here.
sending it to you right now.
Is that in the, nope, that's not that. That's not that.
It should arrive any second now.
There it is, script for Friday. Okay, and this is what we need to have done prior to every meeting, along with the Pledge of Allegiance, right? Where is it? It's opening, sorry. And then Vanessa, so why don't, Vanessa, you run through your, no, here we go. Okay, so the chairman's script is now, as chair of the House Legislative Administrative Committee, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, in accordance with House Rule 67 and the governor's emergency order number 12 pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. This is a committee orientation meeting. Please note that there is no physical location for members of the public to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that all members of the committee and select legislative staff have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting, though the Zoom electronic meeting platform and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting by the Zoom platform or by telephone. All necessary access information has been made available in the House calendar and through the electronic calendar on the General Court website. The notice for this meeting complies with House rules and RSA 91A. Anyone who has a problem accessing the meeting should call area code 603-271-3600 or email hcs@leg.state.nh.us. In the event that the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. I want to introduce Pam Smarling from the House Committee Research, who is on the meeting assisting us. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. And that now it starts into, let's start the meeting by a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. So with that, I will.
Oops. Mr. Chairman, you've muted yourself somehow.
How did that happen? So none of that was heard.
No, just the very end there. I don't know what happened.
We heard you right up until right to know law.
Okay, great. Thanks, Tim. So Vanessa, I think we are good to go. If you would like to call the roll.
Okay. Representative Hill,
Here.
Representative Green,
Here in Hudson, and I'm alone.
Representative McKinney, Representative Packard, Representative Osborne, Representative Rouliard,
Here.
And we also need to say if anybody is in the room with you.
Right.
No one's in the room with me.
Representative Simon,
Here, and I'm alone.
Representative Wall,
Here, no one's with me.
Representative Lay,
I am here in Jaffrey and I am alone.
Representative Smith,
Present and alone.
Representative Frost,
Present in Dover, I'm alone.
Representative Nutting Wong,
I'm here in Nashua. My son is next to me, and then family's coming through.
Representative Richards, Representative Espisha,
Here in Nashua, and I'm alone.
and did I pronounce your name correctly?
It's a hard T. It's Espitia, but
Espitia? Okay,
Yeah, there you
thank you for your grace. And I'm Vanessa Sheehan, I'm here and I'm alone.
I neglected to say that I'm also alone. Learning curve. It's all part of the learning curve. I think we left off with the committee hearings that, and I think we covered everything there unless there was any concerns or questions about that.
Could I make a comment, Mr. Chair?
No, I was just gonna go ahead. Yeah.
I just wanted to note that we do need to use better to use the electronic hand raising feature. So it's natural in a more casual setting to just raise your hand. I can't raise my hand electronically because I'm the host, and I guess presumably I shouldn't have to, but all of you have the ability to raise your hand by pressing the button at the end of the bottom of the participants list. There should be a raise hand option. Probably a co-host might not have that, but it's something to be aware of. And when you do raise your hand, you pop to the top of the list in the order that those hands are raised, so the chairman can call you in order.
Nice.
Yeah, it is nice. And you
Nice.
may sometimes deviate from that. I know if somebody has spoken a number of times, you might say, I'm going to skip that person because, the second person hasn't spoken at all yet, so that it's obviously your choice, but it's handy because that happens in the attendee side and also the panelist side. And it just helps you maintain order.
Do you know, Pam, why, on my screen anyway, so Claire's hand is raised, but then the others are just a blinking red dot. Is that indicating that they are next in line? If I lower Pam's hand, I'm sorry, Claire's hand, the others don't, I don't get any others.
Are you referring to the blinking red dot that's in the participant window?
Yes.
Because that just means we're recording the meeting
Right.
for the three of us hosts. I think that's what that refers to.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
It's that cloud with a red dot in it.
It's a what? What is it?
I don't know. It looks like a cloud. With
It's like a cloud symbol,
like a
yeah.
fried
I
egg.
thought it was a big rock, but that's it. Okay, so that means that only the co-hosts are being recorded?
No. The whole meeting is being recorded. I frankly don't know why the recording.
I think it just reminds us
Claire's
as
hand
hosts
is-
that we control that.
So Claire's hand is raised. Does that mean, Claire, you would like to speak? No?
Yes.
Okay.
My question is, and I heard everything I think about the hearings and the hybrid, the options for Zoom and the public for Zoom. Did we talk about exec session at all, or did I miss that?
You have not missed that, but I haven't finished with the committee hearing yet.
Okay.
There's some requirements with that as well that need to be done. Pam, do you have something else first?
While we're sort of still talking about raising hands, you'll notice that Representative Rouillard's hand is still up. She can lower it too, and I think it's handy if each member raises and lowers their own hand. Otherwise they all stay up, or you as the host can lower them.
Right.
But it's one less thing to do if members raise their own hand and lower it once they're recognized.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, sure. This is what we're here for, to go through this kind of thing.
Like having a rehearsed committee meeting.
Yeah.
So there are also in this hybrid model, we also have responsibilities to the committee, and one of which is you need to notify Bob, the vice chair, whether you intend to be in person or on Zoom for that hearing. I'm assuming that has to do with making sure that the link goes to you that's correct, and that we end up with everyone using the panelist call in and Zoom link rather than using the public one, which gets a little bit to Janet's question about why does she show up as an attendee rather than a panelist on here. But I would think it shouldn't be much of a heavy lift for people to just get in touch with Bob and say, I plan on being on Zoom, or I plan on being in the hearing. Is that correct, Pam? Is that the reason why, so that we know who's here and why, or where they're supposed to be?
Well, so we know who to send the links to and who to anticipate in the building. So we're aware of who's in the building and make sure that the seating will work and whatever else might need to be done in the room itself.
To that end, I would think we need to have one email address for everyone that's going to be used for this transmission of the link for Zoom. And we also need one telephone number so that we can identify who's calling in and put them in the right spot. I would guess that's correct too, Pam?
Yes.
Okay. So if that can be provided, we really don't have a chat area or something, but how would you like, Pam, that information to be transmitted to you? Or does that stay with Bob, what that single number for everyone would be?
The idea would be to use the same email address for all your legislative business, including the Zoom links.
Okay.
So that is
So
what
we will
Paul
need it.
Smith asked for. You know, I think yesterday he sent out an email to all members with that request. So if the clerk's office knows, you know, has that information, then I can get it from him for all of my committees. And so we have that central location.
Okay.
And then phone numbers, I think, would be the same thing. Certainly welcome to email me as well.
Okay.
You could
Everybody
maybe
has it.
me on what you sent to Paul, just so I have it as well. But Paul really is the central processing for contact information.
Okay. It's also a cautionary note that no one will share that Zoom link with anyone else. I asked today for the public email link, which is available to share, but not the individual one that is sent to each of us. Correct, Pam?
Yes, that's correct. If you share your personal link, you know, then we'd have a bunch of Greg Hills with different faces on.
Who wants that? Who would want that?
The attendee link is what's posted in the House calendar. It's publicly available and therefore certainly very appropriate to share.
All the committee hearings will be recorded, will be on YouTube. Even though the public will be testifying only on Zoom. I think that's everything I have on the committee hearings. Anybody else have questions or comments, or? You're good, Doug?
No, I just wanted to just be clear. So if I just want to know for sure, who do we, if I'm going to attend remotely, or if anybody's going to attend remotely, what's the advance notice you need? How much in advance, and exactly who do we send it to? Do we send it to Bob, Representative Green? I'm sorry, or do we? And how far in advance would be necessary? I just want to have that nailed down. That's all.
I would say it's 24 hours. I think the catch is Pam, when does the link get sent? And then there's a reminder an hour before.
Right.
So when is that link going to be sent?
I'm caught in the bind. I've been doing it 2 days in advance myself.
Okay.
I know we're entering, you know, a general protocol that's being developed right now. So I don't know if that's going to continue to be the protocol. I'm sure that we'll know soon, and then we can really firm up these questions.
But it should go to Representative Green or to the committee assistant, or?
I think it would be handy for
Multiple.
House Committee Services to know that.
For who, I'm sorry?
House Committee Services, somebody in my office, you know. So again, I'm making a note of it. You know, Ann Fitzgerald has asked us to you know, maintain a list of all these types of issues and questions to make sure they're included in the final protocols. And so we'll.
Okay.
So to be determined, I guess, but it sounds like 2 days is the default at this point, 48 hours is the default, and then if it changes, I will let everyone know.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yep. There was one other thing that popped into my head. So at this point, I'll go a little bit behind the scenes. At some point, all committee hearings, we are going to have a double room in order to maintain social distancing. At some point shortly, I hope, we will have the schedule of what days we will be assigned for that double room. And that, my understanding is, we will have the double room for that day. So it would be nice, just based on the number of bills we have, it would seem that we could almost do 2 full days of hearings and have that single double room and then schedule exec sessions and then be out of here. But that's the plan as it stands. I don't know what that day is. I've only heard from one person so far that of a day that they can't make hearings. So it may be a good idea if at some point you shoot me a text or an email or something and say, these are impossible days for me. I'm hopeful that it's going to work out so everybody is available when we're supposed to be, especially where you don't have to drive, who knows, an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours to get here. If you can just take an hour out of your day and be available for hearings, that would be great. As soon as I know what day we've been assigned, that's when I'll start working on scheduling the hearings. So the more information that you give me, the better, as far as trying to schedule all of this. That should cover hearings. Executive sessions. Executive sessions will be in person. Executive sessions will be in the LOB in this room assigned to us. We don't have the opportunity to Zoom executive sessions. That's how things will be done. We will ask that all representatives, if you can't make the executive session, you contact your ranking member or maybe your deputy ranking member. I don't know. That's up to you. I'm going to ask all Republicans will get a hold of me or Vice Chair Green and let us know. That's for purposes of substitutes more than anything else. And at this point, as soon as we know, we're going to have a great, our first hearing, I would think there's going to be a whole bunch of new information to be shared. I don't intend to hold executive sessions on the days of hearings. That's my intention. Who knows if in the middle of a hearing, we all look at each other and say, this is a great idea, let's all do it now. That will be noticed in the calendar that we can do that. But we will hopefully hold all our hearings and then hold, I would think, an executive session day. And obviously, if we can't do, if we're going to be doing Zoom meetings and there's going to be a hybrid setup of in-person and out of person, or in Zoom and in the LOB, we really can't do an executive session anyway if we're going to do all of them in person. So that kind of will take care of itself. And that's all the questions I have, or all the answers I have at the moment. I'm willing to, if anybody has any questions on executive sessions, I don't see any hands raised. We have 3 people with us today, I think, that we invited. And these, for the freshmen, are usually, these are our, round up the usual suspects kind of people. They are with us often in the committee room. So I wanted to give them the opportunity to address you and tell you a little bit about what they do. It looks to me like Terry is the only, oh no, Jim's on here as well. So right now we have Terry Paff. Terry, can I promote you or allow you to talk here? I'm going to try to promote you to a panelist. And I don't see you.
There he is.
You see him?
He's in a panelist column.
Oh, there we go. I got you.
It takes
So
a
now-
little lag. He's somewhere in between for a while, but yeah.
It's kind of like Star Trek when when they're transmitted from.
There, looks like I'm transmitted aboard the Starship.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, look where you are. Boy, look at that.
I'm in the, it looks pretty nice here in the Notch. I've been following along via the mobile, and so I'm hotspotting in right now from Verizon. So It's working well. Technology, we've really come a long way with technology, as all of you know. So my
Excellent.
job, and for those of you who don't hear me, can you hear me all right?
Everybody's nodding.
Are you? Okay, good. For those of you who don't know, I'm the Chief Operating Officer of the General Court. So that's a newer position that was established last year. I'm a former 4-term House Chief of Staff for several different speakers. So I was a 4-term member of the House of Representatives as well. So I've had a lot of experience and time in the legislative branch and in the General Court itself. And as the chairman said, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for inviting us here, we are frequent visitors because a lot of what you deal with, the legislative administration issues, are things that we have experience with and that we work with through the process, through the facilities, through access issues. So we, under my purview and under my responsibilities are the ADA access issues, the Department of Administration, General Court Administrative Office, Office of Legislative Services, the facilities themselves are under my office, operations, and your safety itself with our PSOs, our public safety officers, and Chief Burke, who runs that division. So it's really encompasses the business of the legislature is what I'm responsible for and authorized by the principal officers. It's a joint position, so all the people I oversee are joint employees. But really the process in the physical plant are some of the things that I come visit you about. And when there's changes that are going to change and affect the institution, either through process or through physical plant issues, they come to your committee and I'll be visiting you on those. I know Representative Wall has a bill in that I'll be visiting you on, and that's about the upcoming discussion on the portraits and different collections throughout the facility. And there's a jurisdiction issue that she's going to address with her piece of legislation. So I'll be visiting you and testifying on that piece of legislation. But it's great to meet the new members and the former members and returning members, I should say. Good to see you guys again. And it'll be interesting to see how this all pans out. Now, one of the areas of responsibility I have is the GCTS division, which is our IT division. And that's been really put to the test. And we've done a lot of recent building with our IT platforms lately. And actually preliminarily leading up to the pandemic, which I wouldn't say is foresight. I thought it was more or less a necessity because we had so many legacy programs that we were using to promote our legislative process. We really had to get a consultant on board and rebuild our whole platforms, right up and including our disaster recovery platforms. So fortunately, we did that. We went to the cloud. And we have the ability with Teams and other software programs that we put in place, as well as rebuilding our full server base and software protection and virus protection capabilities. So we've done a lot of work there as well. So again, I will be visiting you on pieces of legislation that affect what I do and I oversee, and I'll also be available on a regular basis along with Attorney Cianci to answer questions historically that we have some experience with that may come up within your committee. So, Mr. Chairman, as always, if you need myself there or any members of the staff that I oversee for any particular issue or information you need, I'm always available for this committee, as any committees really in the whole General Court. But this one I'm in front of quite often when pieces of legislation come up affect the operations of the legislature. So with that, I'll answer any questions and then see what I can help you with.
I don't see any hands. I think you're free to get back on the slopes.
All right. Thank you very much, folks. I'm not heading to the slopes. I'm heading to the snowmobile trails, but we'll try to get there as well. All right. Thank you very much. And
drive carefully.
Thanks. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Terry.
Bye-bye.
Also on the list here is Jim Cianci, but now I see Paul Smith's there. Jim, I wasn't sure whether you had anything that you wanted to say. I will promote you to panelist, and you're there. Is there anything that you would like to say to our group?
And Mr. Chairman, I promoted Paul Smith at the same time. I hope
Oh,
that's-
yeah, there you are. Hi, Paul. Oh, Jim, if you're there.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. To introduce myself to the members of the committee that I haven't met, Jim Cianci, I'm House Legal Counsel. You'll see me from time to time, sometimes testifying on bills, sometimes working with Pam on background information. Paul, Terry, and myself tend to take an interest in this committee because this committee's purview is over matters which involve the legislature itself, sort of its internal workings. And so we tend to keep an eye out on those issues and to provide you with the best information to make your decisions. One thing, and Paul can jump in here as well, Mr. Chairman, the discussion about executive sessions. We were at the chairs meeting this morning, and our understanding is that the executive sessions are going to be conducted remotely or on the hybrid model over Zoom. We're not aware that any decision has been made that those are going to have to be in person. And that's as of this morning at the chairs meeting. And I'll let Paul jump in as well.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I did just confirm with the speaker that members are able to participate remotely for executive sessions. The only caveat is that members do have to be visible on screen for an executive session for voting purposes. And that is to verify their votes. And that is also pursuant to our new section of Mason's manual as well, that does have a brand new chapter on remote hearings and sort of establishing guidelines on determining that members have to be visible. So.
See, this is all good reason why we have you folks here today. Were there any other items that came up in the chairs meeting that obviously I missed that should be of interest to the committee?
Actually, yes, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I would just let you know that there is going to be a new tool for testifying on legislation that is being worked out on our web, where people will be able to file essentially a pink card right out on the website. And at the end of their sort of registration process, there is an email link that will direct them to send an email to the committee if they have testimony that they wish to be included. So this is something that literally has been rolled out today. It is, if you're interested to see how it looks, it is actually live on the Senate page as well. They started this week in earnest with their hearings as well and have been utilizing the system. Some of the back end stuff on how to determine the order of testimony and those sorts of things, those details will be worked out individually with you and your committee technical person, and we'll go from there. But I just wanted to mention that is sort of a new, obviously, piece to our legislative landscape here.
How about blue sheets?
So it's the same thing. So essentially what it is you sign up on the website, and you either mark if you're in favor or opposed, and you also mark if you want to speak. So it's very similar to how we have it set up now, except we've sort of combined both forms into one.
It actually would look a lot like what we were used to with the Senate.
Yeah, I didn't want to use those, but yes, we are mimicking those folks.
Okay. Anything else, Paul, that you would like to discuss with the committee members?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I think you all know me. I'm Paul Smith. I'm your House Clerk. Yes, this is basically the only committee I hang out in. With no disrespect to the other committees, this is the one though that obviously has the most meaning for what we do internally in our processes, and that's why you will see me from time to time chiming in on legislation, and usually well, always, I don't take a position on the legislation. I simply present to you sort of information as I have it, historical pieces, that sort of thing. You know, if you do see me, it's not because I'm unhappy or I'm trying to give you heartburn. It's just because I just, you know, well, and I'm sure, having looked at the legislation that's before your committee, I'm sure you can understand why you'll probably be seeing me on some of those issues.
So the heartburn is just a side benefit? Is that?
Oh no, the heartburn is usually on my end. Based on you know, various interpretations of rules and whatnot.
So for new members, you should realize that Paul used to be one of us. How many years were you?
Just you know, it was a long time ago when I didn't have any of these things in my hair. Well, right, that too. Yes, when I was a senior in college, I ran for a seat in the House, and I actually served on this committee. So that's why I was a clerk in my second term of this committee. So I feel a great attachment to legislative administration for a variety of reasons.
Great. I'm hopeful I didn't cut off Jim. Did you? Did you have more that you wanted to include, or we kind of got sidetracked with the idea of executive sessions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, all I'll say is ditto. After said, you'll tend to see the two of us together because Paul takes a lot of times the historical aspect, the rules aspect. I'll take the legal aspect. They intertwine. And again, as Paul said, if I do come to testify, it will never be to take a position on a bill, but it will just be to point out maybe technical defects in a bill or to provide you with information that may not be apparent from the bill. As much as Pam is your researcher and your resource for the committee, you should also consider Ann, Paul, and Terry, as you heard, as a resource to this committee, just based upon the nature of the subject matter that you deal with. So thank you.
Thank you. Are either of you willing to take a question?
Sure.
So Representative Richards, I've unmuted you. You have a question, you have your hand up.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul, you referenced the new section in Masons. And was that, forgive me, I have not read the entire calendar. Was that included in there or a place for us to link and review that section ourselves?
Masons is unfortunately extremely copyrighted. The various leadership offices do have several copies, and you are certainly able to purchase a copy yourself, either a hardbound. I will also mention that for the first time, we do have a digital version where you can download the digital version, and it is a reduced cost. You do have to have a login on the NCSL website. NCSL publishes the Masons Manual every 10 years. The work, however, is produced by my association, the American Society of Legislative Clerks and Secretaries. We have a commission that is a 10-year commission that works on updating those things. But there is a new chapter 57, and it begins with 32, and it talks specifically about remote meetings. And the reason I mention that is because although in our rules that we've adopted, our emergency rules, we reference certain things, and we also, as you heard at the beginning of the meeting, reference the governor's emergency order and those sorts of things, there is guidance. So in the event that the emergency order goes away and our rules expire, there is guidance for how we could conduct these hearings in a remote fashion, provided we do establish some to do that. So that's why I mentioned specifically we do sort of have some guidance on how to conduct these meetings beyond just the emergency order, which we've been utilizing.
Thank you for that explanation.
Anyone else? I don't see any other hands raised anywhere. I think you guys are, Representative Wall, did you have a question?
I have a concern. I cannot meet on Fridays because I work on Fridays. And I need to put that out there right now.
I had a note of that from someone, maybe Pam, and I've made that known to everyone I can, that we have a scheduling issue for
Thank you.
Fridays. Anyone else that has those issues, please shoot me an email or a text, which is a good segue for me to give you my email and my telephone number.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I just need to log off. I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to say hi, and also to wish Representative Frost a happy birthday, and also to say hi to little Mr. Nutting Wong there, who is adorable. So thank you all, and hope you have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. And I think, Jim, are you also are free to go if you'd like.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming. So I was heading into a cell phone number and an email. So email for me is great. It would be Greg Hill, GREGHILLNH, like New Hampshire, @gmail.com. And cell number would be 617-590-4027.
What is that, 40 what?
27.
Thank you.
Everyone good with that? I don't know if Bob would also like to provide his,
Sure.
seeing that he would be the one that would need to be in touch with, so.
I'll remind you that we're on YouTube right now.
Good point.
Just.
Let's see.
So we will provide that to you. How's that?
Yeah,
That would be great. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, thank you. 10 seconds too late, Pam.
I know,
Thank you.
because I heard you like, ah.
Does the chat go to you?
So let's. I don't think that there's any other things needed to be covered. If anybody can think of anything that we didn't cover that we should have, I see no hands. I see no.
I think we're good.
Okay, I think we are good. With that, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
That's always the top person motion. Thanks very much, everyone. Talk to you soon. As soon as I know a date, we'll be in touch.
Bye.
Have
Thank you
a good
for a
one.
great meeting. Thank you.